We are back, comrades. We are back. I'm excited to be back. I'm excited mostly to take a break from reading Capital Volume 3 because my brain hurts. Too many schemas, too many formulas, too much 500 pounds to 600 constant capital plus 100 variable capital equals 100 pounds, where the commodity value itself also rises from 600 pounds to 600 constant capital plus 100 variable capital plus 100 surplus value equals 800 pounds. I can't do it anymore. I just want to play some video games. What's up, ILL State Fishing? How's it going? I also have like an ear infection. So that makes me tired. Need a mod here? Definitely. Let me make you one here. I'm going to have to go here. 1 second. Ill State Fishing. We're definitely going to make you a mod right now. I just want to not mess anything up. Capital Volume 3 and ear infections. What a title. But that's my life right now, is an ear infection and Capital Volume 3, so. I don't know. I'll just do this. Ill is fine, not ILL. Gotcha. Well, there you go. Now you're a mod. With great power comes great responsibility. So I put my faith in you, Ill. How's everybody doing on this fine Sunday? I've gotten some good reading in today. Also made a video, a couple videos for TikTok. Pretty productive day so far. It's weird, like, I know I have an ear infection. But just like when I had a tooth infection earlier in the month, your whole body feels weak, right? Like I feel like my whole body's like got the chills, and I went to like work out yesterday and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm just dragging. I think it's because of the ear infection, but yo, what's up, Eddie? Yo, what's up? Hoopney Big Bon. How's it going? Happy to be building the Twitch audience. So that my original intention was with these gaming streams to build up our Twitch audience. I had to see people watching on Twitch. This is my left ear. Yeah, the right one's fine, thankfully. It is my left ear. I actually have one of those cameras that lets you like look inside your ear and pull out earwax. And yeah, it's like pussing. So that's totally disgusting. Hope nobody's squeamish who's watching this, but that is what I am dealing with right now. And it kind of hurts, but mostly it's just it's like clogged and annoying. But yeah, I don't care so much about the ear as much as I care about like it making me feel drained. Like that's not ideal. Thankfully, I don't have training today, but ear infections are awful. Hope you get better soon. Thank you. I'm sure I will. See, we need some level 3 spheres. How do we get level 3 key spheres? A bunch of our people are stuck. Like on their sphere grid. They need a level 3 sphere. Figure it out eventually here. The monsters in this cave are really, really hard. Honestly, to go back to the ear infection, because I know that's what everybody wants to talk about. Don't be immune. He's immune. It wasn't like the tooth infection was much worse, because the tooth infection hurt my tooth and I just felt like I was gonna die. until I slept for like 20 hours. And then I felt better, but that stuff was brutal, I tell you what. Should I bring in for this? I don't know. Warren, I guess. That didn't do anything. Let's do this. Make everyone faster. That won't hurt. Use this. There we go. I did some damage. Now let's do this. Didn't really help. Yeah, the good thing is I live in America. So, you know, no health insurance. So that's really awesome. So if my ear infection gets out of control and it starts seeping into my brain, I can't even go to the doctor without spending like thousands of dollars that they're going to upcharge me for. So that's one of the coolest parts about living in America. You know, one of the dopest parts about capitalism is that the healthcare system is really good at profiting off of you and not that good at making you healthy. That's super cool. Definitely shows how capitalism is working. There's got to be a better way to do this. Hey, at least you have freedom and democracy. That's true. You know, as the ear infection was seeping into my brain, you know, and spreading throughout my body, and there was nothing I can do about it, you know. All I can think is thank God for all this freedom and democracy that I have. You know, some might say that access to healthcare should be included in freedom, right? That you're not really free in the modern world if you don't have access to healthcare. Okay, those people would be wrong. Okay, actually, the less healthcare that you have, the more free you are. That's why America is the most free. All right, what is the best way to take this guy out? Someone look up a walkthrough for me. Can't figure out how to beat this guy up. You can get healthcare in Brazil for that and not worry about paying. Well, there you go. I'll just go to Brazil. I'll just use the Midwestern Marks Patreon money to go to Brazil. Thank you all. Patreon.com/Midwestern Marks to pay for my surgery. I already did that to him. How do I injure this thing? Garlic is good for infection. Help me with eye infection. Okay. Garlic, huh? See, I got hydrogen peroxide because there's a lot of things you can do, honestly. Like, you don't really need to see a doctor for every ear infection. There's a lot of stuff you can do at home. But maybe I'll try garlic. We got to go armor break. Maybe that's what I have to do. There we go. Okay. Now I figured out how to hurt him. You got to go armor break. You can Google the garlic for infection. I will. Ever have vertigo because of one? Awful. Definitely. I definitely feel that right now. I definitely have been feeling dizzy the past few days. I'm going to go back and heal up here. What are your thoughts on Joseph Stalin? My thoughts are the more effective a socialist leader is, the more garbage and lies that the bourgeois media and the bourgeois education system is going to pile on their grave. Right? Because if you're really effective at fighting capitalism, the capitalists are going to make you out to be the most evil, horrific person imaginable. And they're going to throw so much garbage at you and make up so many lies about you. You know, Stalin wasn't perfect, but that's the case with Stalin. He was an extremely effective leader, extremely dedicated to building socialism and building the first worker state, massively increased the standard of living for the people in the Soviet Union, built up their military capacity so they were able to defeat Hitler, and the Nazi scourge on the earth. And for that reason, the U.S. has never forgiven him, and they've just piled garbage on his grave, as Stalin predicted they would before his death. It's like that one quote, the Soviet Union defeated the Nazis, or defeated fascism, and the West will never forgive them for it. That's how I feel about Stalin. He defeated fascism, led the first worker state, and the West has never forgiven him for it. Do you have the game volume turned down on purpose? I don't, but let me take a look. How's that? Is that better? I don't want it too loud, obviously. But... So murdering political opponents in the USSR was all for the sake of building the Workers' Party. My friend, you must watch our interview with Grover Furr, who's dug through the Soviet archives for years. It's not just that Stalin was murdering all his political opponents, starving Ukrainian people. Oh my God, shut the hell up. The Holodomor bus. The Holodomor. All aboard the Holodomor bus. Stalin didn't starve any Ukrainian people. The kulaks deserved worse. They were hoarding grain, which helped create the famine. Or helped not. There was a famine anyways, but it helped exacerbate the famine. There's never, ever, ever, ever been any evidence that Stalin purposefully starved anyone during the Holodomor. You should check out Rev Left Radio's episode on Stalin. Absolutely. There's no evidence, and even Robert Conquest, and then Mark Tauger, who are non-communist, non-socialist historians, have looked through the Soviet archives. And Conquest, one of them is like a Soviet agricultural expert. That's like his focus. They've dug through the archives and found that there's no evidence that Stalin purposefully starved anyone. In fact, Stalin's agricultural policy at the time was aimed at mitigating the effects of the famine, right? And he had to crack down on the kulaks, this landowning farmer class of mostly Ukrainian people, who were hoarding grain in an effort to stop the collectivization of agriculture in the Soviet agricultural policy. And Stalin was extremely lenient with them. That's why people say the kulaks deserved worse. He was extremely lenient with the kulaks at that time, before eventually liquidating them as a class. Which doesn't mean just killing all of them. People always say that he liquidated them as a class. He just killed all of them. No, he didn't. Liquidating them as a class means taking away their control of land and taking control of the means of production, which were then collectivized. And the collective farms were developed in place of the farms owned by wealthy landowners who would do stuff like hoard grain. But you proved exactly what I was saying. That Stalin was such an effective leader that the West had to pile garbage upon his grave, had to throw these accusations of genocide at him in order to convince people that he was this evil, murderous guy. And you have fallen for it hook, line, and sinker like a buffoon. But thankfully, I'm here to set you straight. Thankfully, some of us have actually read the Soviet archives and have actually looked into what happened.
Looks like we got a job to do, yeah?
Beyond nonsensical bourgeois propaganda.
We're relying on you three. If it gets dangerous, pull out quick.
Unlike the potato famine. Absolutely.
Be careful, okay?
Which, in many ways, was exacerbated purposefully by the British. That's what everything that the capitalists accused the socialists of doing, and again, this is not to say that Stalin was perfect, but things that they accuse him of doing, like the Holodomor, are just capitalist projection. It's stuff that the British capitalists did to the Irish. They accuse Stalin of doing the same thing to the Ukrainians. And I've actually, there was a Ukrainian person in our comments recently who was saying that, my Ukrainian relatives have done a good job of keeping the myth of the Holodomor alive and passing it down to their kids. But they were saying recently they had actually looked into the evidence, and they had actually looked into the historical records and realized that there was no Holodomor. There was a famine, but there was absolutely no intentional famine that was created by Stalin in order to starve Ukrainian people. Why would he even do that? Right? They were collectivizing Soviet agriculture at the time. They were trying to increase production so that they could feed their people and develop themselves industrially and economically, to the point where they could defend against the invading Nazi forces. Why would Stalin purposefully starve, potential troops or potential workers who represent potential labor, right? The Soviet Union needed all the labor that they could get. They needed all the energy, all the workers, and all the soldiers that they could get. Why would he just purposefully start starving people? He wouldn't. You're unknowingly repeating a bunch of Applebaumian propaganda. I can't even call it proper Cold War propaganda. It's so ridiculous. Yeah, and that's the thing. If you look into the actual historical debate about this, you'll see that a lot of the nonsense accusations of the Holodomor come from Applebaum, who has been debunked countless times by rigorous historians, both Marxist, socialist historians like Grover Furr, but again, like Robert Conquest and Mark Tauger, I believe is Tauger's first name, who are not socialist historians, who are not communist historians, who are not Marxists, but have looked at the so-called scholarship that Applebaum put out accusing Stalin of doing this genocide, and have seen that it's utter nonsense. And I've seen that there was a famine at the time, but there's absolutely zero evidence for the fact that it was caused by Stalin. So you're repeating this hogwash, this nonsense that's been historically proven. And like every anti-communist, you're trying to act like we're the stupid ones for actually knowing the historical record. You idiot communists think that the Holodomor didn't happen? Yeah, so does every rigorous historian who's actually studied it, bro. We are right and you are wrong. You're just condescending and arrogant. What's your take on the gulags? Watch. Oh, what do I gotta do here? Oh, that was bad. Watch Noah's video on the gulags. It puts them in their historical context. Just search Midwestern Marx gulags. Because the Soviet, like at the time, gulags were, or so-called gulags or labor camps were the style of prisons that they had in a lot of countries. And it was actually considered progressive because you were rehabilitating the prisoners by allowing them to work, right? By allowing them to labor, by teaching them a skill, but eventually that went out of favor. They weren't considered progressive anymore. And then the Soviet Union was one of the first countries to get rid of them once gulags were no longer considered this progressive thing. But Noah goes in depth about that in another video. Yesterday, I read up about Fred Hampton and the Black Panthers. What a wonderful person. Absolutely. Someone brought up Rev Left Radio the other day. Their episode on Fred Hampton is so good. Fred Hampton's one of those guys who will make you feel bad. Like when you see everything that he accomplished by the age of like 20, it's like, dang, what am I doing? I got to get off my butt and start organizing people the way Fred Hampton was. Like they literally had people, or they had to put a hold on people joining the Black Panthers party because there were so many people joining under Fred Hampton's leadership. Like they were able to recruit so many people that they had to pump the brakes on it a little bit and say, Okay, no more people for a while because we don't have enough stuff for you guys to even do. Which is crazy to think about now, you know, how difficult it is today to like organize even a reading circle or get anyone to do anything. Organizing is freaking tough. But Fred Hampton was crushing it. He was doing these mass recruitment efforts for the Black Panthers that were so successful. Share a vid on Fred in the Discord. Not sure if that's the one you mentioned. Did you say One Mic History? I said Rev Left Radio. Rev Left Radio has a really good thing about Fred Hampton. What the heck? All right, where am I supposed to go here? Did that troll who was in here earlier literally say he got a clip of me saying Stalin was good? As if that was like a gotcha? Oh no. Oh no, he's gonna make a clip of me saying Stalin was good? Yeah, there's already like 700 of those on the internet, buddy, that I put out myself. I'm not a coward. I say what I believe with my chest. You just buy into all these bourgeois narratives. You buy into, or you say whatever's socially accepted and whatever's easiest. You know, whatever's going to get you a pat on the back from society. But I don't care about that. I tell the truth even if it's not popular. That's why I say proudly with my chest that Stalin is one of the goats. Cry about it. All right, where do I go here? Where are all my... Where's Yuna and them? I am confused. I once got attacked by every political influencer on TikTok for like making a video about the purges. Where I said that, well, you know, during the purges there were a lot of Nazi collaborators inside the Soviet bureaucracy and, you know, who had infiltrated the party. And like that needed to be dealt with somehow, and most of these people were put on trial and convicted. You know, it wasn't like Stalin was just executing whoever he wanted to execute. You know, there was due process for the vast majority of people. And then every liberal influencer and our old buddy Seabass just like jumped on that and we're like, how could you say this? Because it's true. Because I actually read on this shit, unlike you guys. Right, that's enough Stalin talk for today. Let's go back to talking about my ear infection. Actually, I gotta grab a glass of water. BRB, folks. But Marxism is like that. You spend all this time going through these dense texts, you know, and trying to understand history and the history of existing socialist countries for what they were, you know, and really being rigorous in your analysis. Really being rigorous in your analysis, and then, you know, you explain Marxism to someone and they just go, hello to more Stalin. Hello to more Stalin. It's like, oh, okay, good point. I hadn't thought of that. Maybe I'm not a socialist anymore. I failed to consider Holodomor Stalin. You know, there was a Holodomor bus, a Holodomor awareness bus that they were driving around to convince people that the fucking Holodomor happened. Okay, if it was a real genocide, you wouldn't need a Holodomor bus, right? Do you see any Holocaust bus? No, because we all know that the Holocaust happened. There's, a mountain of historical evidence for it. So why do you need a Holodomor bus to convince people that it actually happened? Because there's no historical evidence for it. Don't use oxygen water on it. It's not healthy, turned out. What's oxygen water? I don't know what that means. All right, maybe we're going the right way here. Maybe we got to backtrack. Let's use haste. Eddie, could you speak a little on the Sino-Soviet split? I'm not as educated on as I'd like to be. Neither am I. But I don't know. What do you want me to say about it? It's a pretty complex issue to just talk about in general. There were differences in how the Chinese were planning their economy. There were differences in how they wanted to build socialism. There were many people in China accusing the Soviet Union of Soviet social imperialism, saying that the Soviet Union was getting too heavily involved around the world and backing revolutionary movements. That was like a Maoist idea. But it was tragic for the global socialist movement, right? It was a terrible thing because you had the Eastern world, like China and the Soviet Union, creating this socialist bloc during the Cold War. Two of the largest countries in the world are moving towards communism, along with Vietnam and Korea and Cuba, even in the Western Hemisphere. And they split over political divisions, foreign policy divisions about how to build socialism. And it was pretty devastating for the global socialist movement. I know Noah says that he sides with the Soviet Union in the Sino-Soviet split. And there was a lot of weird stuff that China was doing with their foreign policy back then, too. Like, they backed Pol Pot in Cambodia. They were pretty antagonistic with Vietnam. But yeah, there were a lot of reasons that went into it, but I'm certainly no expert on the Sino-Soviet split. I have to read more on it. Why didn't I just bring in Oren for this? I'm being stupid. Go away. Go away. Go away. Yeah, they just had different systems at the time. But there were a lot of debates going on within the Communist Party. I mean, of both countries, but the Communist Party of China at the time, there were tons of debates. Like, you had the Deng Xiaoping faction that wanted to open up to more private markets, do a more new economic policy, NEP style version of constructing socialism. And then you had like the Maoist factions that wanted cultural revolution for one, and then wanted a more top-down model of economic planning that had far less market interaction, or less private markets, less foreign investment. And Che Guevara wrote a lot about it, actually, because Che was a big-time Maoist. He thought that the Cultural Revolution was a necessary part of building socialism, that if you didn't do something to transition the culture of the society out of capitalism and into socialism, you were making a mistake, you know. So he sided with China. He sided with Mao. He actually would call his kid My Little Mao. But then Fidel was the more practical one, because Fidel was like, well, we can't side with the Chinese. The Soviets are the ones buying all our sugar. Right? So Cuba for years had been exploited by Western colonizers and by plantations, which had made it so their soil was really only adapted to grow tobacco and sugar. So the only thing they could really export was tobacco and sugar, and the Soviet Union said, well, we'll just buy like all of your sugar. There's no real, we don't really benefit from this, but we want to help you develop socialism in Cuba, and we realize that the US is keeping you under an embargo. So Stalin, that the U.S. is keeping you under an embargo, so we're going to buy all your sugar. And Che had all these criticisms of the Soviet Union and where they were heading, and had all this praise for China and what they were doing with the Cultural Revolution. And Fidel was like, why don't we just keep that under wraps and support the Soviet Union for now, because they're buying our sugar. So Fidel's position was more practical. Che's position was more focused on advancing the struggle for socialism and communism globally. I don't know who I agree with. This. Why is there a red arrow here? Hey, Jacob, how's it going? How's your reading going? I was reading up a storm this morning. About how far are you in this game? We got to be like 85% through. We got to be so close to finish at this point. We've been going for a hot minute, obviously at 0.2 speed most of the time. I know we're nearing the last location. So we're getting close. Yeah, what should I... Oh, what's up, Christopher Romero? How's it going? We got tons of people in here. Gaming stream's lit today. Who's got good sources for me to read up on the Sino-Soviet split? Honestly, most of what I know about it comes from what Che had written about it, which is why I went so in depth there about that. But he's obviously writing from the position of Cuba and from a Cuban socialist, as is Fidel. So they're looking, in Fidel wanting to side with the Soviets, he's looking at what's best for the Cuban economy, and trying to maintain the system that they have going, where the Soviets are buying all of the Cuban sugar exports. But I don't know. Noah would be a better person to talk about this, because he obviously has a pretty strong stance that he sides with the Soviet Union during the Sino-Soviet split. I don't know if I agree with that, because also the Soviet Union then went on to collapse, whereas China went on to become the most prosperous country on earth. So I don't know. Maybe China was onto something when they split with the Soviets. That was always how I understood it until I heard Noah's interpretation. And, also China was doing a lot of weird stuff with their foreign policy at the time, like made a lot of mistakes, like supporting Pol Pot, who was probably a CIA-backed fake socialist. But Eddie, how's your Spanish? I finished day 330 of Duolingo today. It's certainly not great. but I'm getting there. Soon we'll take a Midwestern Marks trip to Cuba or Bolivia or something. And then my Spanish will be good. Then I can immerse myself. Mi padre es un maestro de español en la escuela el high school. ¿Cómo se dice high school? Mi padre es un profe de español. Y yo aprendo un poco para él. Pero yo no sabe todo la idioma. I don't know the whole language. That's probably not right at all, but I'm working on it. Continuing to work on it. Like Duolingo could take you, like Duolingo is helpful, right? And I already had a background. Like I had taken Spanish 1, 2, 3, and 4 in high school with my dad. But Duolingo, it's helpful, but it can only take you so far, right? Like if I was only doing Duolingo and I hadn't studied Spanish in high school, I wouldn't know nearly as much as I do. It just helped me brush up on what I know and learn some new things. But also, you have to do other stuff. Like you can't just do Duolingo. You need supplemental learning, or you need to like go and speak to Spanish speakers or live in a Spanish speaking country for a bit, or find some way to immerse yourself in the language. Because Duolingo is cool, but you know, it's like 5 minutes a day of Spanish isn't going to be enough to learn the language or be fluent or learn how to understand it. So total immersion helps. Yeah, for sure. Dearest Eddie, please give us a list of your natty stack. I do Gorilla Mode Nitric pre-workout, which is stimulant-free pre-workout. I have stimulant fat loss pills that I take. I haven't taken these in forever since I was cutting weight, but I'll take these sometimes, 2 a.m. They're stimulants, so I thought they might help me with like focusing and reading. They do not. They make me like I want to freak out and start punching the wall. So I very rarely take those, but usually I'll just do caffeine, like an energy drink or some coffee, and then that stimulant-free pre-workout, and that gets me pretty good. Sometimes I'll have some kratom. Pre-workout kratom is usually pretty good, but yeah, all natty gang. I've been tempted to take anabolics before, but that would be cheating. You get tested in international wrestling. Although I'm pretty convinced some of the people at my weight class have taken steroids before, dude. Some of them just look insane. I'm like, is that natural? I don't buy it. Thank you. I got you. I've done. If you go on my TikTok, Ed B. Liger, I think it is. It's like a TikTok where I post workout videos and just like random nutrition stuff. I don't know, like non-politics stuff. I also post politics stuff there, but if you go there, I've done a video showing everything that I take, all the supplements that I take. I also take magnesium regularly, which everybody should be doing. I believe over 50% of Americans are magnesium deficient because of our diets and all the processed food that we consume. So get yourself some magnesium. I take vitamin C anytime I'm sick. Like right now, I got this ear infection, so I'm taking vitamin C every day. That's good for you. It also helps you focus. Midwestern Mark should be sponsored by vitamin C, the amount that we've told people to take that. Oh, yeah, vitamin C is good. Kratom's like a plant that grows in Indonesia. It can simulate the effects of opioids. It's often used to wean people off of opioids, but it can also be used as like a pre-workout or an antidepressant or anxiety reducer. The second trial. Hit the 3 panels simultaneously. Riku's got to be the green one, right? What, she just flew right into that? Titus got to be the blue one. I mean, Stalin. I assume Waka's got to be red. Second, the magnesium. Yeah, magnesium's huge. And did that not work? And magnesium, what magnesium deficiency does is it gives you anxiety and depression, which is a huge problem in our society. And 50% of Americans are magnesium deficient. Right? So it's like we have this huge depression problem, and there's an issue with our food production that we know how to fix. I mean, we know that over 50% of Americans are magnesium deficient, and that could help people with depression and anxiety, but we don't tell people that. We just give them freaking opioids and shit. Like, it's crazy to me how little doctors talk about eating healthy and things like magnesium and natural supplements that you can take. But that's not what they're there. That's not what the healthcare system's there for. It's there to make money by selling you pills. So there are 3 holes with a button inside. Riku goes in the green hole, Titus in the blue, Waka in the red. Oh, so I did it. Yay. Okay, I got it right. I thought I got it wrong. Yeah, I hope I put some people on the magnesium grind, because that is legit. I don't know if I'd say it changed my life, but actually I would. I would say it's changed my life, because it's improved my life. It's helped me reduce anxiety, and this will sound a little weird, but it helps you poop. And being constipated is terrible. It gives you anxiety. It makes your stomach hurt. It makes you feel bloated. So if you can get rid of that just by taking magnesium, why wouldn't you? Steal successfully with Riku 200 times. Woo! We got an achievement, folks. A Steam achievement. Let's go. Stop charging. All right, almost done. Yeah, I'm going to get some magnesium. Do it. Do it. Your stomach will feel better, I promise. I'll guarantee it. Uh-oh. I almost died. Oh, that would have been so bad. I didn't realize he could attack all of us at the same time. That would have been such an L if I would have got a game over there. That would have been so sad. I'm just getting people on the medical cocktails for money. Yeah, pretty much. That's what our recent podcast with Danny Shaw went over. How the healthcare system doesn't actually care about your health. 1 second, Jacob. I'll read your chat in a sec. I'm sorry I missed it earlier. Moving on. Oh, I knew there was something down there. Yeah, Fortune Sphere. I don't know what the heck that does, but we got it. My reading is going good, comrade. Finished chapter 3 of Stalin's Marxism and the National Question last night. I was just about to reread chapter 5 of Black Shirts and Reds. Nice. I've been thinking about rereading Black Shirts and Reds lately, because so many people have been asking me about like Stalin and World War II lately. I'm like, I should just brush up on that. But dude, what do you think of Marxism and the National Question? That's one of my favorite books. Like, I feel like that book is just so useful, for understanding why Marxists support right to national self-determination and why the Soviet Union supported all these anti-colonial movements in the global South following World War II, or even in the lead up to World War II, even though these countries weren't socialist necessarily. The Soviet Union was still supporting them in their anti-colonial struggle. And that's one of the things Trotsky's dumbass was against. He was like, no, we shouldn't help these countries unless they're socialist. We need to help the world socialist revolution. Not just the national self-determination of these anti-colonial movements. Which is pretty silly, but Yeah, I just feel like it's a really useful book, and it helps you learn about like the difference between a nation state and a civilization state. Like there are many different nations which make up China, Russia, the United States, right? Different nations of people, but they're all encompassed under one state. Right? You can have a civilization state made up of multiple different nations, all under one state, like the PRC or like Russia. So that was interesting too. But that's also where some people criticize Lenin for going too far in that. They say that Ukraine never should have become a thing, right? They gave the Ukrainian nation its own state, its own nation state. And some people say that Ukraine should have just remained part of Russia, right? That you didn't need to give them their own state. Because that allowed the U.S. to prey upon nationalism and extreme nationalism and start pumping that kind of ethno-nationalist ideology into Ukraine to use it as a way to attack the Soviet Union and use it as a way to attack Russia, which is why the U.S. has backed this Stefan Bandera ethno-nationalist ideology in Ukraine for years and years and years and years. And you see now, of course, with the proxy war going on in Ukraine and the coup in Ukraine, how useful that's been for the U.S. Very interesting. Very interesting to go back and read Marxism and the National Question, I believe. Communists must upgrade nutritional info by performing dialectics on the food pyramid. Yes. I don't know if performing dialectics is a word or like, I don't know if you can perform dialectics. That's the correct verb, but I agree. We must apply dialectical materialism to nutrition. I did that to my mom was really into like these paleo diets and like these kind of weird trendy diets. And I was like, well, right, paleo says that we should go back to like how people used to eat when they were cavemen before agriculture. But how do we actually know that that's what's best for us? Agriculture is what allowed human populations to explode, right? Agriculture and the ability to grow like wheat and the ability to domesticate animals and stuff like that is what allowed human populations to blow up at first around like Mesopotamia and stuff. So who's to say that the healthiest way to eat is to go back to the way that the cavemen lived? You know, what proof is there for that? It sounds good, right? It sounds good when you hear on a Joe Rogan podcast, like this is what our ancestors used to eat, but that doesn't mean there's proof that what our ancestors used to eat is healthier than what we're eating. And we know heavily processed, heavily, modified food is less healthy than like organic food. Right. And there is something to that, but it doesn't, it's not a thing like where the further back in time you go, the more healthy humans were eating. Right. I don't think that's the case. Before agriculture, there were a lot of people dying of starvation, and human beings didn't live much longer than 30. Is the food pyramid even a thing in schools anymore? No, they have My Plate now, as far as I know. So they got rid of the food pyramid. Now they have like a plate. Uh-oh. That was almost really bad. They have like a plate that's supposed to represent the amount of food that you have on your plate. It's like, it should be like 50% vegetables, like a small percentage fruit, and then protein. And then you can have some dairy or something on the side or some sugar. But it's like a plate divided up into what your portion should be. I believe that's still what they use in schools, but it's not the food pyramid anymore. It's just funny because when I was growing up, they showed us the food pyramid in gym class. And they're like, this is what you need to eat. And, like whole grains were at the bottom, which, you need your carbs, but like that, whole grains are definitely not like the base of the food pyramid. The base of what you eat should be vegetables, in my opinion. That's just what's been proven to be the healthiest for your heart and your overall health. Jeez, this is getting difficult. Need to get back to the save sphere. And probably just escape low key. Are you kidding me? Why do they get to attack first? That pisses me off. Stupid things. Why do they get to attack again? Die. Annoying. Why again? They get to attack 3 times before I get to go once? That's really cool. 4 times? I'm gonna throw my computer through a window. What is this? We need to push veggies like Gorbachev pushed corn. Was it Gorb or am I misremembering? No, I think you're right. He was the one who, like, there was like pictures of him with the corn on the cob, right? I can't remember what that was for. Is that like for propaganda? There's some like famous picture where Gorbachev's like eating corn. Strange moments in socialist history. All right, finally I got a save in. Jeez, that was freaking a hassle and a half. Let's switch some of these guys out, shall we? Get some fresh blood in here. Little misconception there. Life expectancy was super low because infant mortality was very high. If you made it past adolescence, you were expected to live until 60 or 70. Oh, wow, I didn't know that. So maybe there is something to the paleo diet and eating like our ancestors ate. Maybe there's something to it, folks. It was Khrushchev that was promoting the corn propaganda. They don't call Khrushchev corn boy for nothing. Oh, it was? Okay. I mean, yeah, Gorb was the capital. He was bringing capitalism back to the USSR, so I guess it doesn't make sense that he would be doing corn propaganda. Gorbachev, what you're probably thinking of, Christopher Romero, was or whoever said the corn thing. It was probably Gorbachev with Pizza Hut, because Gorbachev did the famous Pizza Hut commercial when they were bringing restoring capitalism in the USSR. Organic food is a liberal capitalist scam. Organic is marketing. In many ways, I agree. What about the? Let's not start a debate here. ILL state fishing. Oh, geez, what's going on here? We just lagged out. Ill state fishing. I called you ILL again. You're gonna get me called a settler here. Ill state fishing. Yeah, I remember Lady Easdahar talking about it once. Is she the one who talked about Khrushchev and his corn? That makes sense. Here it is. It was on Life magazine. Look at this. Look at that boy. He looks like he's about to destroy that corn. I've never seen somebody so excited about corn in my life. Good for him. Midwestern Mark should start selling this as a sticker, dude. That would be sick. Dude, we need to update our merch store so bad. We haven't updated it in so long. We could have like me and Carlos and Noah holding up corn. Man, these guys loved corn. Shout out to corn, am I right? Khrushchev was promoting corn propaganda. Oh, yeah. I already read that. Yeah, shout out to corn. All my homies love corn. Ill state fishing with the corn emojis in the chat. We be eating corn out here. DPRK has propaganda for wheat harvesting. I've seen some of that. A lot of socialist countries did. There's this really good propaganda poster of like capitalism versus socialism in the Soviet Union, and they're like, the socialists are like harvesting wheat and distributing it to their people, and the capitalists are throwing wheat away because that's how capitalism works. If you can't make a profit off of it, if you can't sell it, you throw it away. You don't give it to the people for free. You got to make a profit off of it. So capitalism wastes all this food, and anybody who's worked in at like Subway or something, you know this because they'll make you throw the bread away at the end of the day, right? You'll have a bunch of leftover food, and they won't let you bring it to the homeless people or a food pantry or something. They literally have you throw it away because they don't want to give away their bread for free. They have to make money off of it. They have to keep demand for their bread high, so the price of their bread stays high. So in capitalism, we're literally wasting use values. We're wasting food. We're wasting means of subsistence that could be used on our people because it doesn't make profit for Subway and the shareholders who own Subway. Which, of course, capitalism has always been this way. It's always been extremely wasteful. It's always allowed people to starve. Millions of people to starve globally while we produce enough food to feed everybody. Because under capitalism, you don't produce and distribute goods based on their use value, based on what they can give people, based on what they can do for people and what they can do for society. You produce and you sell goods to make a profit. You make a profit only. And if allowing people to starve to death helps increase your profits, that's what the capitalists are going to do. And that shows how irrational of a system it really is. Now, that's one of my favorite Soviet propaganda pieces. Is that one showing the capitalists throwing food away versus the Soviets giving their food to their people. Even though in Ukraine, Joseph Stalin took an ice cream scooper and he ate all the grain in Ukraine so that the people couldn't have it. And he purposefully starved them by eating all the grain himself with his giant ice cream scooper. So, can't forget about that. I worked at Arby's. At the end of the day, we would throw our chicken and fries and mozzarella away. Exactly, comrade. Exactly. And isn't that just crazy? Doesn't that just make you sick? I was talking to my buddy about it the other day. He's not a communist or anything, but he's definitely sympathetic towards our positions. And he's like, it was insane. Like, there was a homeless shelter like a few blocks away where we could have brought this bread from Subway, and the managers forced us to toss it. Like, that's where it would be better to have like a communist in the position of manager, because I'm sure they get those rules from corporate. Right? Corporate tells them if you have extra bread, you got to throw it away. But if you have a communist manager, they can be like, I'm not forcing my employees to throw this away. We're giving it to a homeless shelter in secret. So if you're a communist managing a Subway, don't throw your bread away. Fuck corporate.
Who is she?
But remember, in communism, no iPhone. True.
Lady Unaleska.
True, Blueberry.
In Xanarkand, she awaits the arrival of the strongest.
France dumping wine because they
She
can't
is
sell it at a
still alive?
profit. Sounds about right.
As much as Micah and Seymour.
I see.
Lost your nerve?
No. Nothing frightens me now.
Facts, Christopher.
Laska
Houses are
would
for
be
living
proud.
in, not for speculation.
Then
Xi
I
Jinping.
must not let him down.
But in the U.S., they're for speculation. We don't care how many homeless people there are. And we don't care about the ratio of homeless people to empty homes in this country. Even though we've got enough empty homes to put all the homeless people in. Those houses aren't for living in, they're for speculation. We need to make sure that real estate capitalists and landlords are still making as much money as possible. So sorry, some of you are going to have to live on the streets, even though we have enough houses to house all of you comfortably. You have to think of the landlords. Who will think of the landlords? If we put the people first, that's going to hurt the landlord class that we need. Who else will make, if we don't have landlords, who else is going to make profit off of you living in a house? That would just be ridiculous. If houses were for living in and not for speculation, that would be socialism, and therefore it's bad. What if I want to eat landlords? That's about the only thing they're good for. If we end up in some kind of like post-climate change or post-nuclear fallout, they're the ones we eat first. Because at least capitalists, like, well, not even really so much anymore now that there are managers and executives who really manage production. But at least at one point, capitalists were managing production. They were making sure that production, is carried out in the factories. Like, they have something to do with it. Landlords, there's a reason even Adam Smith hated the landlords. They're just charging you for land because they own a plot of land. They're not involved in production at all. They're doing literally nothing and making money for it. They're just basically siphoning money out of the rest of society, siphoning value out of the rest of society while providing none themselves, which is largely what capitalists do, but landlords, it's to an even worse degree. Unless you're like a small time landlord who owns like an Airbnb and does everything yourself. Like does all the labor yourself. In a communist world, can I afford medicine? Yes. Actually, even in a social democratic world, like even in Europe, the people can afford medicine. That's a place where we're uniquely bad here in the United States. But under communism, yes, it would be even more affordable. We'd build hospitals and build healthcare facilities in every place that needs one. Whereas under capitalism, as I wrote about in my article about rural healthcare in the U.S., there are thousands of hospitals going under every year, or not every year, but hundreds of hospitals going under every few years because they're not making profit. It's not profitable to keep them open. Like we said, in capitalism, even if something's useful, if a capitalist isn't making money off of it, it's got to go. So rural areas especially have been afflicted by hospitals getting shut down. Oh, do you do any investing? I'm starting a 401k soon, one of those retirement investment funds. Blueberry onions. I worked at a big Norwegian grocery store 8 years ago, and we gave all the food we otherwise would throw away at the end of the day to a homeless shelter every day. Nice. Yep, that's why those social democratic countries are better than the U.S. I don't know if that has anything to do with it or not, but let's get Stalin in here. Joseph Stalin, make everyone faster. Uh-oh. All right, I survived. I have a mega potion? Yes. Ouch. This is going to be a tough battle. Even Stalin recognized and pointed out the phenomena of overproduction and destroying food at the very end of his pamphlet, Dialectical and Historical Materialism. Absolutely. Absolutely he did, comrade. Part of me kind of misses propaganda posters being the main format for info instead of videos, allowed for a bit more of an artistic vision for the future. Definitely. I think they're still useful. Like, if someone started putting out propaganda posters, I'd be down for it. For sure. Let me take a peek at the walkthrough here to make sure I'm doing this right. Okay, we'll be all right here. We're going to beat this guy pretty easy. This isn't going to be as tough of a battle as I thought. Oops, I missed. Missed again. Why can't I use my overdrive? Missed again. This is annoying. Here we go. Ooh, I almost missed that. Plus, if someone wants to censor you, they'd have to tear it down instead of shadow ban you, lol. I saw that on Twitter today. Somebody put up like a join the Communist Party propaganda poster that was like sick. And then some like libertarian Karen on Twitter came and ripped it off the wall. Like, you're such a nerd. Like, you're such a loser. Somebody put a lot of hard work and effort into that communist propaganda poster, and they're trying to make the world a better place. And you're dumbass, thinking you know everything about communism, thinking you know that communism is evil, when in fact you know nothing of communism. You're going to come along and rip their poster off the wall? Like, give me a break. Find something better to do with your freaking time. Americans are so brainwashed. Why are they so brainwashed? Why can't I do that? I want to use my overdrive. What? I thought I was going to get to go. Said it was my turn. Now that boy cured himself? Come on. Guess we'll heal Orin first. Use this again. Now we'll heal Stalin. Dude, bologna is just hot dog pancakes. Oh, I never heard that one before, Jacob. Here's a question for you guys. Is a hot dog a sandwich? Right? It's a piece of meat with condiments inside a bun, inside 2 pieces of bread. Is a hot dog a sandwich? Level 3 Potato says so true. What, that hot dogs are a sandwich, or that bologna are pancakes, or that Americans are brainwashed and need to find something better to do with their lives? My estrogen so I can become a cute girl costs expensive for me, but I need it or I get anxious, sad, depressed. Please don't take my estrogen from me. I don't think anyone wants to take estrogen from you. The communism would expand healthcare access and make it cheaper. Like, right now, people who want to do that, it's really only available to people who can afford it in our system because of our for-profit healthcare system. So I'm in favor of people being able to do whatever they want to do, but you can't do whatever you want to do if you don't have healthcare access, if your material conditions don't allow for it. So let's bring in Friedrich Engels. It's time for some communism in here. The question is pizza a sandwich? That's tough. I think a hot dog's more of a sandwich than pizza, right? Because, like, crust is different than bread. Crust is like baked dough, which I guess is ultimately what bread is, but all right, I'm actually glad I brought this guy in. These are the thoughts that keep me out of the really good schools. Yeah, that and maybe you being a Marxist, Jacob. They're probably terrified of you. Is pizza and pot a cereal? Is cereal soup? Is pizza a pie? Pizza's definitely a pie, right? Pizza can definitely be classified as pie. I don't think cereal could be classified as soup. Soup's got to be hot. And it's got to have, like, meat or, like, you know, you have tomato soup, but that's warm. It's hot. I don't think you can have cold soup. If you did, it would be nasty. These are deep theoretical questions that we're asking here, guys. So I appreciate this. I'd say yes to both the sandwich and the brainwashing. If you fold a pizza, maybe. Can a pizza pie also be a burrito? It can, I guess. And I've had sushi burritos before. It's just like a giant, just a giant sushi roll. That was good. But is that a true burrito? I don't know. Oh, he missed. Nice. We got this guy all messed up now. Time to bring in Waka Flocka Flame. Boink. Oh, he's got Protect on. I should have used Dispel. Oh, and he Protect. That was smart by him. Ouch. Uh-oh. All right, somebody better live. We're all right. We're all right. Now let's use a Mega Potion, since we have them. Is melted ice cream a soup? No way. That's just like a smoothie or like a milkshake. There's no way you can consider melted ice cream a soup. Unless you're like, I don't know, putting like chocolate chip chunks in there. But even still, that's a shake. Now we're just getting ridiculous with this. Melted ice cream is not a soup, and I will die on that hill. Anyone who thinks ice cream is soup is a revisionist. Don't I have Dispel? Yes, there we go. Get rid of that Protect. Thank you. Ow. Why did you do this? Alright, we're almost done. We almost beat this boss. Taking longer than it had to, for sure. Oop, I should armor break again. That's not what I wanted to do. Oh, he's going to regenerate every round? That's annoying. See how this does. Nice. Oh, he healed himself. What a jerk. Gosh, he's healing himself a lot. This is such an annoying fight, dude. This is harder than I thought it was going to be. Let me use my super. Ugh. Better hit. Oh, it missed. I hate my life. Like that Zizek. That Zizek clip where he's like, I hate life. I hate life. Then he's like, I support NATO. My Zizek impression. I love NATO. Slurp, slurp, slurp. It's actually him slurping on NATO's nuts every time he slurps like that. Inappropriate. I'm sorry, folks. Hey, what's up, Dev? Stalin is a great character in this game. He is. And in real life. But yeah, Titus is a great character. Gosh, I just cannot hurt this guy right now. I wonder if I can... Beat everybody up again here. Gosh, he's regained so much health. Boink. Should really be attacking with Orin, but let's see, how much health does this fool have? Can you poison it or other status effect? Yeah, I've got him poisoned. But I don't know if I can take the protect off of him without also taking off the poison. Oh, he took it off himself anyways. Let's see. We do another summon. Probably not worth it right now. I thought you were gonna be one of those transphobic communists. Sorry. Yeah, you can't trust everything you read on Twitter, can you? Good night, blueberry onions. Take care. The Earth, the third rock from the sun. Wouldn't that make every nation on Earth a third world country? The Earth is the third rock from the sun. Is every nation a third world country? I guess it is. Never thought of it that way. This is just beyond annoying. Don't know what to do about this thing. Just keeps healing itself over and over and over again. And I've had it with it. All right, let's see if this just does what I want it to do. Alright, it did. Good. Good. Now we're on the right track here. Let me use my super. I hate you, game. Better use another mega potion here. Don't want to accidentally die. Oh, he missed. What an idiot. All right, what else can I do to this thing? What can Lulu do to this thing? I think people think you're transphobic because you like Oliver Anthony. Why would... I mean, I'm sure that's true, but that's got to be one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. I don't think Oliver Anthony has ever said anything about trans people. Like, what? Bruh. People need to get the hell off Twitter and get a life. I'm sorry, but that's just what it is. It is what it is, folks. It is what it is. People need to get a damn life. Like, on God. Please get off Twitter. Please. Calling people transphobic because they like country music. Please go outside. Ridiculous human beings. And now we're running out of mana. It's not going our way. Still can't use Bushido. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. Poison him again. Haste everybody again. He uses protect, that's fine. Unit, turn it off. Boom, there we go. Now that's some damage. Why does he get to go twice in a row? Alright, we finally did it. Holy cow, that was a longer boss fight than I thought it was going to be. That boy just kept healing himself. Like, come on, bruh. Please stop. Dang, we got so many people in here. Wait, is the boss's name Reagan? No, it was using a move called Regen. It was regenerating his health. That's why that battle took so long.
No need. We
Third
reached the summit
planetism.
soon.
I know. That's why I want to stop for a bit.
I don't like the culture war nonsense that seems to exist in everything in the
Sure
West.
means
Yeah,
that
that's
we
the
have
real
much time
reason people
left.
call me transphobic. It's because I say we
Listen.
should organize based on class.
Fine.
We should organize
I'll think on
the
the way.
working class. You know, we shouldn't organize based on what people's political values are, based on what their cultural values are. You know, and we can fight those struggles, but those are ultimately class struggles because the working class is diverse. You know, we want to overcome bigotry and overcome hatred between members of the working class so that we can advance the class struggle further, so that we can move history forward out of the capitalist mode of production and towards socialism.
Hey, come on, let's go.
So people say that's transphobic
We are
because I embrace
almost
working class
there,
people
aren't
who
we?
don't have all the correct cultural values
We've come a long
that
way.
the left, that the Twitter left demands
That's so
everybody
funny.
have.
You remind me of myself.
100% agree. The purity fetish is unfortunately very
Before,
real. Facts,
The
JS.
closer I came
Facts,
to
it is.
Xanarpen, the more I wondered. When we arrive, Braska will call the final Aeon.
Maybe cast
will fight
reflect.
sin,
I should have
then
done
die.
that, Dev. You're
I
right.
thought my mind was made up long before.
You're
But when
very
I stood
correct.
here, my resolve wavered.
Never would have figured.
Orin
Legendary
backstory.
Guardians choke sometimes too, yeah?
He choked.
Legendary Guardian. I was just a boy. A boy about your age, actually. I wanted to change the world too. But I changed nothing.
Should have become a communist.
That is my story.
Deep. He's considered a legend, but in his own mind, he's accomplished nothing. He's failed at his goals. Give me a level 3 key sphere, please. I just need a level 3. Why do I have so many level 2s? Can you combine level 2 key spheres into a level 3 key sphere? No. Look, another level 3 key sphere blocking my way. Lulu's got a bunch. I don't know what to do about this. Guess I could go over here. Maybe I don't need the level 4 spheres. What can I do? Hold on. I think the sphere grid is a cool way to level up, by the way. I think it's unique. I prefer it to Final Fantasy XII's license board, honestly, even though Final Fantasy XII is like my favorite, as people know. Orin just needs a level 3. Just need a level 3 key sphere so bad for him. Otherwise, he's not going to be able to do anything. We also need to re-up on high potions. Goodness. I'm sure we'll hit a save sphere soon, but just in case, just to be safe, so we gotta upgrade Kimari a little bit because he didn't get in on any of that boss fight. Kimari's kind of like the worst character that you have. I don't mean like the character, like his backstory,
A city
like
dead for 1,000 years.
as a fighter, as like a playable character. He doesn't.
A city I had to see with my
It's hard
own
to do
eyes.
damage with him. It's a sad irony when people are more
The end
concerned
of
with
Yuna's
canceling
journey.
than teaching. Christopher, you get a ding for that. So true.
The last chapter
Just like
in
Gorbachev.
my story.
It's so true.
My thoughts, they kept floating up and then slipping through my fingers.
I'll get into it more after this
Slipping
cutscene
away
is an important scene.
before I could pin them down with words.
Yuna, I say no. If we go down there, then you'll...
Because that's what the Twitter left wants to do. They want to identify something they don't like and cancel it. Bad, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this. Pile on, pile on, pile
You're a
on.
true friend, and I thank you, but
Rather than educate, right? If your position's
must go.
correct and their position is wrong, you should be able to educate them to your
to
position.
Senate.
Right? You should be able to make a coherent argument
saying
about
we
why
shouldn't
your
go.
position is better. But the left has no ability to do that.
Should we think about
Is
it some
everybody's a reactionary, everybody's a
more? There's gotta
Nazi,
be some
everybody
kind of
needs
way
to
we
be
can save
canceled.
you, Yuna.
Let's pile on everybody on
All my
Twitter
life.
because that's what we do for fun.
I knew this moment would come.
And I'm sick of it.
Thank you, Riku. Thank you for everything.
Man, this is some fan service right here. Are they gonna kiss?
Don't say that, Yuni.
Kiss.
It's not over yet.
Who knew this game was pro LGBTQ as well?
Tell Sid.
Just kidding. That's gross.
Thank
They're
you.
sisters.
No. You can tell him yourself.
Please.
Yuni, don't say that because we're gonna see each other again, okay?
So I had to
Kimari,
send an important text.
Let's go.
All right. She dropped this. Looks like we're gonna have another cutscene here. They're cousins or something. Yeah, something like that. There's not to be weird, but there's a member of our audience who's like a consistent Midwestern Marx viewer whose job is to draw like hentai, like cartoons and anime, like having sexual relations. That's his job, and he hates it. It's like, it's so disgusting. I hate that I have to do this, but I'm a skilled artist, and this is the only way for me to make money in my home country of Brazil. Jesus. When he told me that story, I was mind blown. I was like, I didn't even know like hentai was a real thing. I thought it was just kind of like a joke, but it's very real and it's a big industry. The modern proletariat, the modern wage laborers. I'm going to go read Chapter 5 of Black Shirts and Reds. Solidarity. Solidarity, Jacob. Have fun. Sounds like a good read. Great book. Great book. All right, Eunice thanking everybody. I see people just repeat certain culture war posts because they get social media clout. Absolutely, Christopher. We need a proper scientific analysis on these things, but there's not an avenue for genuine discussion / debates, unfortunately. Yep. 100%. What's up, Tipsy Son? Tipsy Ton? How you? Should I be reading this for you guys right now? I stood on the bridge in Bavel where my father and I had parted. Standing there alone, I could see the fields where he had fought sin. I can control the camera here. That's cool. Then you appeared, Kimari. You said you were looking for the daughter of Braska, remember? At first, I was so scared. Till I realized what a gentle person you are. You weren't used to talking to children. When I told you I was Braska's daughter, you said you would take me as far from Bavel as you could. It was the wish of a man facing death. Oh, there she is. I think I cried then. This is me controlling the camera, by the way. It was when I knew my father was dead and I would never see him again. You just held me without saying a word. I cried after we got to Besaid, too, when you tried to go after me, after leaving me in the care of the temple. I held on to you, crying, don't go, and you listened, Kimari, you stayed. Thank you so much. Wow, this is very cinematic. I've always liked your broken horn. Aw. Wakalulu. I'll never forget my days spent with you growing up in Besaid. We always played together with Chapu. That's why I think I was always so happy. And when you refused to let me become a summoner, and I did it anyways, I'm sorry. I've always wanted to apologize. You know, when you tried to stop me then, really, I was happy. I could tell you really cared about me. You were like my big bro and sis. No, you really were my big bro and sis. What else? What about Stalin? I love watching you play Blitzball, Waka. Oh, there she's talking for me now.
I even love it when you scold me, Lulu. Really? I guess that leaves the newest garden.
Eddie, how far along are you with Volume 3? Just got through the intro,
Of the Xanarkand age.
which doesn't sound like I'm very far, but the intro is 100 pages, so I'm on page 121. But that's chapter 1 of the actual book.
Well,
I'm enjoying it.
I'm glad.
Kind of. It's a little dry.
I'm glad that we met.
It's good,
We
though. There's
haven't
good
even
stuff
known each other
in
that
there
long,
for sure.
but it's funny. So this is what it feels like. It's a much more wonderful feeling than anything I had ever imagined.
Eddie, if you were a professional wrestler, what would your finisher be called?
But it hurts sometimes.
It's a good question. Probably the people's elbow. Because, like, communism comes from the people, from the masses.
I just want
the
to
masses
say
elbow.
Thank you for everything.
The proletarian elbow.
Maybe
Hello, practice pad.
Maybe that's why it hurts.
There was an actual move in WWE 2K23 called the Hammer and Sickle. Okay, that's my finisher then.
Us never being together again at all.
That's what I call my right and left bicep, the Hammer and Sickle.
I'm afraid.
We need a communist version of WWE to put theory references into.
No,
yes, we need a communist version of everything.
I'll do that part over.
Need to speak to the people on every level.
What you up to?
Oh, she was recording that in the Sphere. So that was the Sphere I just listened to. Gotcha. In here. Very nice. Very nice. Yes, yes, yes. I feel like Volume 3 is less dry than Volume 2. Honestly, like Volume 2 is so scientific. Like the parts that aren't him just like going through different formulas and doing math are so nice in Volume 2. But that's where David Harvey is like, he's like, the parts where Marx is doing math and laying out all these formulas are like the best part of Volume 2. I'm like, I disagree. Those hurt my brain. Vince McMahon is a cartoon villain. So is Dana White. Vince McMahon and Dana White, heads of the UFC and the WWE, are literally cartoon villains. I've forgotten most of Volume 2. That's the other thing about Volume 2 and 3 is it's not information that's like easy to retain. Like I used to say everybody should read all 3 volumes, and like you should if you're a Marxist. You know, you'll learn a lot from Volumes 2 and 3, but not everybody has to read them. Not every working class person has to read Volumes 2 and 3. They're extremely complex. You know, they're extremely theoretical. And, you know, they're laying the basis for socialist planning and socialist methods of distribution rather than capitalist methods, which would be super necessary for like socialist economic planners in a socialist society. But as far as regular working class people, like there's way more in Volume 1, and there's way more in Lenin, or way more in like Marx's pamphlets that are more important than reading Volumes 2 and 3. You know, like I would prefer people read Lenin and read about practical organizing and political struggle, and how to advance the class struggle, rather than read Volumes 2 and 3 so you know how to debunk all the bourgeois neoclassical economists. Like some people, we need people in the movement who understand Volumes 2 and 3 and who have read them systematically. But not everybody needs to, you know. You're a wrestler? That's awesome. I am. Look at my ears. This one's infected right now. It hurts. Jesse Ventura was trying to unionize the WWF and had most of the guys on board. Then Hulk Hogan went behind the group and told Vince, yes. Hulk Hogan, the union buster. Everyone, boo. Boo, you suck, Hulk Hogan.
You suck!
Hey, it's the intro to the game. This is how the game starts, with a shot of these weapons. And with them sitting around this fire. Or is there anything good about Spiro from a Marxist perspective? Or well, I wouldn't say anything good. I guess it's just it's a theocracy, like you said. It's I mean, there's Marxist analysis of Spiro that you can make, right? Like Hulk Hogan is a douche, definitely. Real deal. We need more red athletes. Darn right. Trying to be the first communist to make the Olympics for America. But yeah, it's there's Marxist analysis to be made, like the way that religion is used to enforce the mode of production. Yeah, but I mean, all the Final Fantasy games are somewhat political. A good beginner socialist book to read, State and Revolution, or Imperialism, the Highest Stage of Capitalism, which I have full reading guides and summaries for on my YouTube channel, by the way. Entire breakdowns of those books that if you watch my guides, even without reading the books themselves, you'll still have a good understanding of what the books are about. But yeah, I would read State and Revolution, honestly. Manufacturing Consent is really easy.
To my story.
Yeah, I would read Inventing Reality by Parenti before you read that, though.
Maybe our
Inventing
last
Reality
chance.
is even like a better version of Manufacturing Consent by a Marxist-Leninist rather than an anarchist. Socialism, Utopian, and Scientific. Yeah, that one's good, too. That one can be a little bit confusing if you don't already understand the basics of the theory, but it's one of my favorite books of all time. That was my first one. That was one of my first ones, too. I never read any Parenti, only watched his lectures. Oh, man, you got to read some Parenti, comrade.
Anyone?
You're missing out, let me tell you what.
I think
Yes?
that we should stop. Maybe. For now.
Yeah, definitely read Black Shirts and Reds and read Inventing Reality. Nothing like some good Parenti. Man, I gotta go get some hydrogen peroxide after this and wash out my ear. I have an ear infection. I haven't cleaned it out yet today. I feel like I don't have that much time to read. That makes sense. I tried reading Roland Bohr, but man, it's much easier to listen on my commute. Yeah, that makes sense. I love Roland Bohr. I recently read his analysis of Chinese socialism and whether he asks the question, has China restored capitalism or are they socialist? And argues that they're still socialist. And it's fantastic. It's just like 19, 20 pages, which is, you know, if you can't read books, like there's a lot of scholarly articles and essays written by Marxist thinkers like Lacerdo and Roland Bohr that are good to dive into as well. How'd you get the infection? Hope you get better soon. Thank you. Probably overwork. I've been haven't been eating as good as I should, and then I've been working out twice a day, like 4 hours a day, and then trying to read every day and stream every day, and keep up with the gaming streams. Not that I feel like these aren't even work. These are just fun. Which today I needed a break, which is why we're doing an hour 40-minute gaming stream. But yeah, probably got it from overworking myself and overexerting myself. Unparalleled Dev says no to hentai, say yes to Parenti. That's freaking hilarious. Thank you, Unparalleled Dev. I couldn't agree more. Should we move on a little bit here? I seriously got to go to the grocery store and get some hydrogen peroxide. Yeah, let's call it a stream here. I'll be back later, probably with the normal stream. Thank you all so much. This is our most viewed gaming stream yet. I appreciate you all for being here. The gaming stream is growing, continuing to grow. It's really fun to interact with you guys in the chat here. If you want to follow our streams, follow Midwestern Marks on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, everywhere else. Patreon.com/MidwesternMarks if you want to support us financially, or you can become a YouTube member at youtube.com/MidwesternMarks. Thank you all for being here so much. I really appreciate it. This was a ton of fun to interact with you guys and just chill out and play some video games. I'm going to go treat my ear infection and try to find some healthcare somewhere in this godforsaken capitalist hellscape of a country. I hope you all keep doing well. I hope this was a good, relaxing stream for you all. Thank you so much to Ill State Fishing for moderating this stream. Thank you to everyone who asked really cool and insightful questions and provided commentary. I appreciate the crap out of you all. We'll see you next time.